guys, it's Casey, and today I'm bringing you my August TBR. So I want to break this down into a couple of different parts. So the first part is going to be just a couple of challenges I'm going to do for myself every month to sort of help me build my TBR. So I've mentioned in previous videos that I end up reading about 10 books a month, but my Goodreads goal for this year was actually to read 50, which is closer to about 1 book a week or 4 books a month. So for my TBR videos, I'm going to give myself 4 books that I have to read to kind of keep myself on pace with that, and then sort of fill in the gaps with other things that I just want to read or I'm in the mood for at the time. So the first challenge is a backless title, or a book that has been on my shelf for over a year. And for that, I'm going to be going with My Hero Academia Volume 1. So I've watched the show, but I have never actually read the manga, and I've had this for probably 2 or 3 years now, and so I figured it was about time. Plus, it's really short. It's entertaining, and I figured it's a good way to ease myself into sort of a more structured TBR. And since classes are starting back up in August, I figured I'd give myself an easier one. Although the rest of this TBR is not quite as easy. So this is about a society in which around 80% of individuals have manifested quirks, which are essentially superpowers. So this is about a boy named Midoriya who is born quirkless, so he doesn't have a superpower, but he looks up to the #1 hero, All Might, and wants to go to the same school that he went to train to become a superhero. In the beginning of this first volume, he ends up meeting All Might, and All Might ends up giving him powers which enable him to sort of try to go to that school and fulfill his dream. So I'm expecting this to be just a really fun read and a good way to start off the month. So the next challenge is kind of the opposite of the previous one in that I want to read a book that was released within the last year. And so for that, I'm going to be reading A Beautifully Foolish Endeavor by Hank Green. So this book came out July 7th, and it's the sequel to An Absolutely Remarkable Thing, which I read 2 years ago right when it came out. So An Absolutely Remarkable Thing is about a girl named April May who, while walking home with a friend one night, runs into this statue sort of looking thing that she ends up calling Carl. So she makes a video sort of examining the Carls and talking about her experience with it, and it ends up going viral because the Carls have appeared overnight in many places all across the world. No one knows what these Carls are. Some people think they're art pieces, some people think they're statues, some people think they're dangerous, some people think they're aliens. But what it ends up doing is it brings this conversation about the Carls into this sort of public discourse, and this book explores the role of fame and the social internet in sort of shaping public discussion and changing the way that people view things. And I really enjoyed the first book a lot more than I was expecting to, and this book finishes off the duology, and I'm excited to get to it. Also, the cover is just so striking. Like, next to the first one, it's just, they're quite a statement. So the next challenge I want to give myself every month is to read either a poetry, short story collection, or classic. And so for this, I'm going to be reading Animal Farm by George Orwell. So Animal Farm is a classic about these farm animals that sort of band together to rise up against the farmer to sort of create a new and better society for themselves. So Animal Farm is obviously a very famous sort of political allegory, and it's one that I'm amazed I haven't read yet, but I know it's one of my friend's favorites, and she's letting me borrow it this month, so that's definitely why we're going to be getting to that soon. So the last challenge I have for myself is to read a nonfiction book, and for that I'm going to be reading City of Thorns, 9 Lives in the World's Largest Refugee Camp by Ben Rollins. So this is one I actually started a couple months ago, and I put down for the time being, not because I wasn't enjoying it, but just because it wasn't something I was in the mood for at the time, but now I think I'm ready to get back to it. So this book is a nonfiction book that follows the lives of 9 different people as they are living in the world's largest refugee camp in Kenya. And what I remember from reading the beginning of this book was that it was really interesting and that it was told kind of in a narrative fashion, so it was less sort of this detached view and more this very personal description of these people's lives. And it paints a very clear picture of what these people are going through, which is something that a lot of people like to sort of ignore. This book discusses how this refugee camp has essentially become a city on its own, and it talks about the conditions and the way that people are living in that city, and I think it's just something I'm very interested to check out. So that's sort of the bare minimum of my TBR. Those are the 4 books I'm telling myself I have to get to by the end of this month. However, there are several others that I want to get to. Starting off with any holds I have from the library that are going to become available within the month of August, probably. So one of my library holds that should be coming available in the beginning of August is The Deep by River Solomon. So this book is a novella about these mermaid-like creatures that are descendants of pregnant African slave women that were thrown over slave ships. And in this society, there is one person who is charged with sort of holding all of the memories of their people, and then once a year that she will share those memories with the rest of her society. So I've heard a lot of people say a lot of great things about this book, and I know it explores themes such as intergenerational trauma. It's definitely going to be a hard read, but it's something I'm looking forward to reading. So the next 2 audiobooks are ones that are probably going to become available in August, but probably closer towards the end, and that's going to be Blood Rights by Jim Butcher, which is the 6th book to the Dresden Files. So I've mentioned the Dresden Files before, but it's an urban fantasy series about a wizard for hire named Harry Dresden as he works with the Chicago PD to sort of solve all manner of supernatural crimes in the city of Chicago. And while I do have some problems with the series as a whole, specifically Harry Dresden's character, I've been having a fun time reading these, and the audiobooks are all narrated by James Marsters, which has been incredible. So it's a fun little palate cleanser to slip in between bigger or more serious books. I usually listen to the audiobooks in like a day or two. And overall, I tend to just have a pretty fun time while I'm reading them. So the last one I'll be getting from my library is Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo. So this will be the third book I've read by Elizabeth Acevedo, all of which I've read on audiobook. And I have loved every single one of them. So her books are told in verse, and Elizabeth Acevedo narrates her own audiobooks, which makes them a really enjoyable experience. Clap When You Land specifically is about two sisters, one of which who lives in the United States and one of which lives in the Dominican Republic. They don't know they're sisters until their father ends up dying in a plane crash, and that's how they connect. So other than the basic premise, I don't know too much about this, but Elizabeth Acevedo is definitely one of those authors that I'm just going to read everything that she writes. And this book has been getting a lot of good buzz lately, so I'm excited to pick it up. Now, if that wasn't enough, I want to talk about the last little section of books, which are just books I want to get to, ones that I'm really excited to read, that don't really fit into either the audiobook holds or the 4 challenges. So the first one is Assassin's Quest by Robin Hobb. I want to go ahead and finish off the Farseer trilogy so that I can eventually move on to the rest of the Realm of the Elderlings. I've really enjoyed the first 2 books in the series, and this third one is thick, and the text is so small. It's gonna take so long to read this. So just to recap, the Farseer trilogy is about a boy named Fitz who is the bastard son of Prince Chivalry. When Fitz is brought to the palace, Prince Chivalry ends up abdicating the throne and moving to the countryside in shame. The royal family wants to keep tabs on Fitz, so they end up raising him and training him to become the royal assassin. And this book follows Fitz as he's growing up around the court politics and these relatives that he's never known. And these are really slow-moving political fantasies, but I've enjoyed them a lot so far, and I'm excited to finish off the trilogy. I also really want to start the Mistborn series, starting off with The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. So I read Elantris last month and loved it, and I've heard that Mistborn is even stronger. So Mistborn is set in a world where the premise is what if the Dark Lord won? And so this is in the aftermath where the Chosen One has failed and the Dark One is now ruling the world. And I know in this world there are individuals who can ingest metals and use those metals in their magics. However, if you can ingest multiple different types of metals, you are what is known as a Mistborn. I also know this ends up being sort of a heist novel, so our main character ends up falling in with a band of criminals and thieves, which is always something I love to read about. But other than that, I don't know that much about this series, other than it's extremely beloved and I'm looking forward to reading this. I loved Elantris, and if this is supposed to be even stronger than that, I can't wait. So those are probably my highest priority books for the month of August, but who knows, I might just end up getting in a mood where I want to read a bunch of contemporary, probably not, but maybe, and I might end up shaking things up. So I'm definitely going to be reading the 4 from the challenges, the ones from the library, and then the rest is kind of up in the air. Honestly, there's a lot more books that I have, especially newer ones that I've gotten that I'm looking forward to reading so much, but honestly, just these 2 alone is so much that I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get to them, so I'm going to go ahead and stop the TBR video here. And if I'm able to get to more, great, and you'll hear about it in my wrap-up, but if not, this is plenty. But anyway, that's what I plan to read in the month of August. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to keep up with what I'm reading, I have a link to my Goodreads in the description below, but other than that, I'll see you guys next time.